Hello everyone and welcome to another video. So the other day I was reading a book. Actually, I guess in the interest of full disclosure, I don't read too many books anymore. I tend to listen to them on audiobooks. So I was listening to a book. It's the book by Marie Kondo called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And in that, I think one of her philosophies is you want to try to surround yourself with items that bring you joy. Well, this kitchen faucet doesn't really bring us joy. It's pretty old. It's been in the house, I think, ever since the house was built, and basically it's time for an upgrade. So today what I want to talk about is basically removing and uninstalling a old kitchen faucet and replacing it with a brand new one. So if that sounds like a lot of fun, why don't we go ahead and work on getting this old one removed. All right, so the first thing we're going to want to do is get underneath the faucet. So I'm going to go under the sink here, and we're going to want to shut off the water supply to the faucet. Now, in my case, I've actually got 4 knobs down here, 4 valves. So these top 2 are actually the hot and the cold water supply to the faucet. So that's what I want to shut off. These bottom 2, in my situation, this one is actually a hot water supply to my dishwasher, and this cold water valve is actually not hooked up to anything currently. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the water for the hot and the cold water to the faucet. So sometimes this takes a quarter turn, yours might be different, mine takes a few turns, but all I want to do is I want to just turn this so I shut off the water going to the faucet. Okay, so with that, I think we're ready to move on to the next step. All right, so I'm going to grab myself a towel and put a towel underneath to catch any water that might come out. And now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to unscrew the supply line from the supply valve. And again, what I'm going to do when I do this is I'm going to support the valve, so when I turn this, it might take a little bit of force, and I don't want to damage anything behind the sink cabinet. So there we go. This should just now basically just come right off. There you go. That's the cold water supply. And let me do the same for the hot on this side. And there we are. Okay, now the faucet should be disconnected and we can move on to our next step. All right, so the next thing we're going to have to do, we're actually going to have to go under the sink and loosen a couple of screws that are holding onto a nut/washer, which is fastening the faucet. So I'm going to grab myself my trusty Anna and Elsa pillow, throw it down here so I can lie on it and head under the sink. And now what you can see is there are these 2 screws that I need to basically loosen up a skosh. So let me do that here. Oh, there's one of them that's a little bit loose. And now let's see if we can loosen the other one. There. Now you don't have to take them all the way. I think if you just loosen it a little bit, then there we go. This whole thing, this washer/nut should unscrew, and there we are. It's off. All right, great. So as you can see, that gasket comes down, and now to get it completely off, we're actually going to have to remove this sink weight and disconnect this outlet hose from the pull-down hose. So it's actually really simple to do in this case. There's this sort of quick release valve right here that all you need to do is just push this and then pull apart, and there we go. Now it comes apart, and now the sink weight will just come right off. And then these lines will straighten themselves out, and you can see this gasket/nut/washer, we should be able to basically feed everything out like such, and it's free. All right, so now that we've got all that cleared up underneath the sink, this whole entire faucet assembly should just lift straight out. Yep, there it comes. Here it is with all the hoses, and I think if we're smart about this, we can kind of take them out one at a time. And, oh, no, now the last one's stuck. There we go. There it is. The old faucet assembly is completely out. So now I think what we should do is let's just clean up this area a little bit and get ready to install the new faucet. Oh, actually, I forgot. You know what we should probably do at this point is let's actually take a look at the new faucet. Let's go unbox it. I'll show you what comes with the new faucet, and then we'll work on cleaning this up and getting it ready for install. All right, so let's go ahead and get this thing out of the box. As you can see, the box is pretty simple. There's nothing on it other than, I guess, the stats. So again, here it is. It's this Moen S73104SRS. It is the one in stainless steel. So let's go ahead and open it up and see what's inside. Okay. All right. Okay, that's pretty simple. Okay. So you get yourself some instruction manuals. That's probably pretty expected, right? So I guess we got some installation instructions. That's great. Again, it's also in multiple languages, as most of these things are, so hopefully that is easy for someone simple like me to follow. Then I guess you get some, I guess we're gonna have to figure out exactly what this is. You get this, I think this is like a tightening tool. Yeah, I think this is gonna help us tighten something down the road, so we get some tooling. And I guess we get, here's probably the main item. Yeah, here we go. This is the actual unit. It's all wrapped up nicely. So again, here it is. Oh, okay, so I guess this is most of the unit along with the holder. So there should be another curved, yeah, here's the curved part I think that goes on top. So let's put all this to the side. Tell you what, let me get all this out of all the packaging, and then we can clear this box out of the way, and we can see what all comes inside. So let's tell you what, let's take some of this stuff out. Let me get all this out of here, and then I'll get rid of this box. Ooh, this is heavy. I think this is the counterweight, probably for the pull-out. Yep, that's the heavy counterweight. Get some hardware, and yep, that's it. So I think we can get rid of the box. Okay, so we got, yep, that part. Okay, that is going to probably, so yep, here's the end of the sprayer, or the business end of the whole setup. Yeah, again, looks pretty nice. Nice stainless steel, so I think this is probably mode selector. I think that's like the power boost or something like that. I imagine that's probably gonna come off later, but here it is. If you're interested, I guess, what does it say here? 1.5 gallons per minute, 5.7 liters per minute maximum, it says on the tip there. Okay, this is supposed to go, I believe, kind of on the end over there. Then it gets hooked up with the main holder part. And then, oh, this must be the supply tube then, I guess, that, well, that's kind of interesting. I suppose what this is gonna probably do, so I'm guessing, probably fits down here and then probably comes through this to, again, attaches to the end of that. So this must be the flexible line as the output. Okay, and then like we saw earlier, this is the hefty, I think, counterweight that I imagine is probably gonna hold this thing down. Okay, and then we get some hardware. Let's take a look at all this. Some of the hardware components. We're gonna figure out what those are for later. Then, what is this? Okay, we get some more stuff, some, I don't know, is this grease or lubricant or something like that? Who knows? Little pretty part. Again, I guess we'll figure out where that goes. And then what comes inside this tiny little box packaging here. Okay, looks like I guess some of these little hot and cold indicators or something like that. I really don't know. I guess, again, well, I guess we will figure out what those are later. So I think for the most part, this is, here's the setup. So here's what comes in the box. So, all right, let's go ahead and read the instructions and see if we can get this thing installed. All right, so we've got the new faucet, and then the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take this gasket and we are going to basically thread it on through this, all the hoses, so it sits down here. And again, notice this gasket, it has a kind of a smooth flush side and then another side with the lip. I'm gonna wanna make sure the lip is up so that this bottom part, which is going to contact the counter, is nice and smooth and flush. So with that gasket in place now, all we need to do is basically just feed the supply lines down, feed the outlet line down, and then this should just nicely sit like that on the gasket on top. Okay, now let's head underneath. All right, so we're headed back under the sink, and now we're gonna take our mounting bracket slash washer along with a mounting nut and this tightening tool, which we're gonna see how this is used in just a second. So we're gonna basically come under the sink again, and now what we need to do is kind of the opposite of what we did earlier and take this mounting bracket slash washer, that slides up like such, and then we take this nut and we are going to try to thread it onto the This is kind of difficult to do upside down, but I think we'll hopefully manage. Okay, I'm going to tighten my hand as much as I can to get that nut pushing up against the washer, and hopefully then subsequently pushing up against the underside of the countertop. Again, this might take a little while. It's kind of a lot to do. And now, after we get it most of the way up there, what we can do is, again, we're going to make sure that the supply lines and the outlet line are not pinched. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get this tightening tool, and this tightening tool will fit on top of that nut and give us a little bit easier way to spin this and tighten it down. And in fact, this gives us an easy way to hand tighten it. And now, once it gets hand tightened, I'm actually going to go up top, make sure that the faucet is set up properly, and then what I can do is grab a screwdriver. Let me see where I put my screwdriver. There's a screwdriver around here. Did I put that down someplace? Ah, there it is. And now you can even use a screwdriver with this little tightening tool and pass the screwdriver through this hole here and tighten up. So I'm going to tighten this a little bit, and then let's go back up top and make sure that this faucet is oriented properly. All right, so now let's come back up, make sure that, again, the orientation is right, because now that it's tight, this should not be going anywhere. And now let's just make sure we can check range of motion. So the faucet opens, yep, turns completely with no interference. So yeah, I think we're good. Okay, let's head back underneath. All right, so we're heading back under, and we're going to grab this hose guide / grommet, and this is going to go under. Again, we're going to have to snake our way underneath, and let's see, again, sorry for the camera, it's a little bit tough to see, but all we need to do is take this hose guide / grommet and thread it onto the end of the orange valve. Okay, there we go. Okay, and that's just going to make it so that the hose will come through and have a nice smooth surface to ride against. Okay, now let's go back up. All right, so now we are going to grab the spray wand, and we can remove this little cap. I theoretically can remove the cap, I guess. Let's see if I can unscrew this. Yep, there we go. And now we're going to grab the pull-down hose. And I guess this pull-down hose, you'll notice, has two different connectors. We're going to want the connector with a female screw socket, and all we need to do is basically just screw the spray wand onto the pull-down hose and just kind of finger tighten it for now, okay? And then we're going to grab the spring, and we can now feed the pull-down hose through the spring, and there we go, all the way, perfect. And now we take this entire assembly and basically feed it down the faucet, and hopefully this will give us enough slack so we can make it all the way. Put the spring on top. Aha, there we go. Okay. All right, now let's go underneath again and make sure that we can attach this appropriately and get the dimensions and lengths correct. All right, so here's the pull-down hose under the sink, and now what we can do is we can actually remove this plastic cap. There we go, to expose the O-ring, and now this pull-down hose can get attached and connected to the outlet hose here. So all we need to do is sort of feed this thing around, and we're gonna have to push this in until we hear it click. So I'm gonna be quiet and then push, and hopefully we hear this little click. There we go, click. And then I'm gonna tug on it gently to make sure it works, and that seems pretty good. All right, so next up, we're gonna get this heavy sink weight, and this thing just kind of comes apart if you pry it open. And then for some reason, they have this little dummy piece of plastic which you can just throw away. And now we're gonna pull down on the pull-down hose, kind of get it situated on the top, okay, at about a reasonable height. And then all you need to do is just take this pull-down, or this weight, slide it around the pull-down hose, and then just kind of clamp it on, and there we go, click, and there we go, it should be on. All right, so now all we need to do is hook up the hot and cold lines to the corresponding supply lines. And again, we just need to be careful that the hot line, which is labeled as hot, I don't know if you can see it up here, but they were nice and actually put a hot label. So we just need to make sure that this actually does go to the hot side. And we will, again, tighten this up and then do the same for the cold line and attach. And I will just finger tight these here on camera, and then I'm going to grab a wrench and tighten them up, and we'll be back in a second. All right, so now let's just turn the water back on. Okay, that's cold, and the warm water. Okay, and now let's go up top and see if it works. All right, so here we are, moment of truth. Let's give it a whirl. Aha! We've got water. Let's see if we got hot and cold. So I think we should be able to turn this either direction. I guess we'll have to figure out which one is hot and which one's cold. I'm assuming that's probably hot. So give us a little while and we'll see what comes out. Let's test out the little different functions maybe. Oh, there's that. What's this other button do? Ooh, that's the power boost. All right, this is working, it looks like. Okay, success. All right, so there you have it. Again, this was the before, and you can see the new faucet is significantly larger than the old one, and I think it looks a lot nicer as well. It's got this nice feature that, you know, you can actually pull this out and then poke it around, and this can also swivel at the same time. It also has this cool little, oopsies, sorry guys, has this power boosting function. But in general, I'm surprised how easy this project was. It just took about an hour or so to uninstall the old one and install the new faucet. So a pretty easy afternoon job and a pretty simple upgrade to the kitchen. So with that being said, I think this is probably a great spot to leave it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if so, I also hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. Surprisingly, if you just scroll a little ways down and click on that subscribe button, it really does help me continue making these videos. And remember, the new videos come out every Monday, so I hope I'll catch you at one of these future discussions and we can all learn something new together. So until then, I think I'll sign off. Talk to you later. Bye.